Greetings, grade 6. Hope everything's going well. But it was only yesterday we were speaking on Zoom, and I hope everybody got their questions out yesterday, if they got or needed them. Your week 5 work now has started to move a little bit forward, and we've moved into division, which I'm going to have a talk about in a minute. But a couple of things I want to say. Make sure I've got your projects. Make sure I've got your millionaire projects in as well. And I'd really like to see those Anzac stories. Had some great stories. Jade's was really nice in a diary about a nurse, and Tyler did a great one about a serviceman and how he was encouraged to become a soldier and go off and fight in World War One. And both of those were done by diaries, and they were really interesting. I'm looking at the others, and I'll get round to talking about those too. This week, we're doing division, and I've also put our new maths project in, trip around Australia, the Aussie trip. I'll do another clip on that for later on in the week. I really don't want you to start at that. Have a read through it, have a look at it, have a think about it. First thing you need to do is think about places in Australia you'd like to visit. And you start doing that, and then by midweek, next week, Wednesday, Thursday of week 5, I'll have another clip for you and I'll explain it to you. Some of you will know and will read the thing, read the information sheet and be happy to start. If you're not, just wait. Wait until I do the explanation. All right, division. Now, division is one of those processes that is a bit weird in a couple of ways. We know that when we're doing an addition equation, we end up with a sum, and we're doing a subtraction equation, we end up with a difference. And we end up with a multiplication equation, we end up with a product. Well, division, we end up with a quotient. Don't know where that came from, mathematician type thing, but the answer to a division equation is the quotient. And we often think about division as how many or how many groups of. We might say 36, how many sixes? Or 36, how many groups of 6? And that's really what it's all about. How many groups of fit into that number? Now, when we're in the younger grades, it's always nice and even. We might have 1 or 2 left over, but it's nice and simple and nice and even. As we get to the upper grades, we need to be able to figure out, well, if I've got really large numbers and I have to divide it by 6 or 5 or 7 or whatever, how am I going to figure that out? Easy when we've got counters, but if you've got a few thousand, that's a lot of counters. So we work out a way to do this. And it's quite simple. And we'll go through that process now. And we'll have a look at the simple ways we end up with different equations. Sorry, how we solve different equations. Perhaps there might be 225 children floating around in a school. And they decide that they want to know, well, we've got 5 houses, not like Doreen, they've got an extra house because it's a bigger school. We've got 5 houses. How many children are we going to have in each house? We don't mind if we split families. We just want even amounts right through. The same in each group. So, as I said, division is pretty weird because we don't start over here on the right-hand side and work our way across to the left. In division, we start on the left-hand side and work our way across to the right. Notice how we set it up. That's a bit weird too, isn't it? We turn around and say 5, and we take each digit at a time. We say, how many times will 5 go into 2? And we all know, Ethan's jumping out of his seat, it doesn't go at all. So we put a 0 there. Some people don't bother. No, we're going to bother. We're going to put that 0 above there. Because one of the things I've always spoken to you about the processes is you make sure you keep your columns lined up. If we don't put a 0 there, then we can make a mistake and we can actually not have the digit in the right place, and we might end up with a different number. So, now when I say 5, I can't ignore that because that's 200. I can put that 2 over there and call that 22 now. Oh, I might have people saying, but why isn't it 4? Because this 2 that I couldn't use, I've carried over to the next column here. In this column it was a 2, but we all know if you go that way, it's 10 times bigger. So in this column it will be a 20. So we've actually got 22. And we know that we can chop 22 up into groups of 5, and we'd have 4 of them, but we'd have 2 left over. So we put the 2, again we carry to the next one. It's a 2 in this column, so it's a 20 in that column. 5 into 25, and all of those leaping up and down. Henry would be telling me that 5 5s are 25, so the answer will be 5. So 225, how many 5s? The answer equals 45 of them. Now that's pretty simple, pretty easy indeed. So what we're going to do now is look at another way, another thing that happens, because as you can imagine, when you divide, sometimes it doesn't work out evenly. Let's have a look. Let's say we had, I don't know, we've got 156 children in this school, and we'll chop the children in our school up into 4 equal groups. Because that's the thing about maths, isn't it? It's about real life things. It's not just about me being a pill and giving you work, putting you through all that pain and suffering, which I enjoy, of course, but it's about being able to use something that is helpful down the track. It's helpful in your everyday life. Your mums and dads use this stuff all the time. We can do this quicker than pulling out our phone and doing a calculator on it. So how many times does 4 go in 156? We look at there and say 4 into 1, it won't go. 4 into 15 goes 3 times. And how many left over? 3 left over. 4 into 36 goes 9. Well, this one worked out beautifully and even. So, in our school, there should be 39 children in each house. Bigger school now. 4 houses. Let's divide it up. 4 into 4 goes 1. That's a change. We did something at the very start that worked out with a digit. 4 into 6 now, because that 4 has been used. 4 into 6 goes 1, 2 remainder. 4 into 23. We know 4 5s are 20, so it's going to go 5 times, and the remainder will be 3. But 3 whats? In actual fact, because we were dividing by 4, this remainder 3 is actually the same as saying and 3/4. So if we were looking for a number, rather than like an actual number we could work with, would be 115 and 3/4. That makes a bit of sense. And 115 and 3 remainder. Oh, we can't use them, we've got to throw them away. So it's much more accurate when we say 115 and 3/4. How did we get the 3/4? The remainder was 3, and we were dividing by 4. Takes us back to fractions, doesn't it? All right, I want to look at one more thing. What would I do if somebody said to me, hey, look, you're dealing with money. I don't want $0.75 or whatever. I want to know some decimals. I want to have the answer in a decimal. I don't want that. So let's do the same thing. 463 divided by 4. Same thing. Goes once, and 2 remainder. Goes 5 times, and 3 remainder. 3 left over. What do? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to put a decimal point there, and when I do, I'm going to put it there. Right above it. All of our columns are lined up. And I'm going to be very generous, and I'm going to give 463 2 zeros. Have I changed its value? No. But I've actually now made it somewhere where I can carry the remainder, haven't I? 4 into 30. 7 fours are 28. 2 remainder. 4 into 20. Answer's 5. 4 fives are 20. Anybody who noticed before that 3/4 was going to come out to 0.75, well done. That's the answer if we were dealing with money or centimetres, something tangible that we had to give an amount for. So I've just shown you the way you get 3 answers. The first one is just with a remainder. The second one, you turn the remainder into a fraction. And the last one, this one, we turn the remainder into a decimal. Now the worksheets that you've got have pictures of a man showing you how to do all this. And then activities. There's easier and harder. Eventually, in the harder you're getting into this decimal stuff, I'd like to have a go at it. If you're stuck, don't worry about it. We'll come back next week. We're going to be on division for probably a couple of weeks. So we'll come back. I'll also, when I do my next YouTube clip for this week, I'll also give you a little bit of a reminder in there. Okay, you know how to contact me if you're stuck with anything. But have a look at all the diagrams and pictures in the worksheets for week 5 because it gives you a good rundown. I hope everyone's going well. You'll have this just before or just after the Premier of Victoria makes an announcement on what he's doing with Victoria over the next few weeks. So we might be back a day or two, we might not be. We just don't know. You can be relaxed about it though because it's you don't have to worry. You've got your work going on, your mums and dads there. You can contact us. Zoom's good for our Zoom meetings. So just remember, this is one of those things that we're doing. We need to go through, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We'll get there. Alrighty, division. Sounds bad, but it's actually pretty cool.